Great to be back in game week. Excited to have another home game. It's good to be back in High Point Solution Stadium for sure. It sounds like we're going to have a pretty good student turnout. I believe Jason was telling me we have over 8,000 student tickets already out. I think we had 11,000 at our first home game, so that's exciting to me that this early we have that many out. The students, we really feel, make a difference in our atmosphere and certainly excite our team, that's for sure. We've an excellent opponent coming into town this week in UConn, a team we've had some really close football games with over the years, certainly in the 7 years I've been here. When I look at them as a team, I see almost a reflection of what we want to be. And they're a football team that plays really good defense. We want to be a football team that plays really good defense. Their offense starts with the running game. We feel like our offense starts with the running game, and I feel they're very well coached on special teams. They do an excellent job on special teams. So I think we're in for another really competitive Big East football game this week, and we're excited to have it at home. With that, I'll open it for questions.
Kyle, you get a sense when you practiced yesterday how much bye week helped?
I think we ran around pretty good. I think we looked fast. I was excited about it. I think what I saw was what I expected, that the intensity level started to rise again. You know, it's never the same in a week where you don't practice. You could try and make it the same, but it's not. Now we're back into game week, and I think the urgency of the game week resurfaced last night.
What's the team's health as you head into this week?
I think we're about as healthy as anybody is this time of year. You know, we have some players that we've lost. You know, guys like Michael Burton, a guy like Al Page. You know, we've got some other guys that are on the verge of coming back. We're hoping to have them back. You know, a guy like Marvin Booker is kind of on the edge right now. We're not sure either way. Savon Huggins looked a little bit better last night. You know, he'll hit for the first time on Tuesday. That'll be a big day for him. So that's those things are exciting to me. But I think everybody in the country at this point in time is probably dealing with the same things we are.
You have an or listed at the right guard. No, you have Taj over Andre Civil. Is that just the way it played out this week?
That's just a typo. Andre will start the game. Taj will play in the game. They'll both play.
Sorry about that, Jay.
Sorry. No.
They'll both play a significant amount in the game. You know, I really feel like that they've both earned the right to do that. I'm pleased with their progress.
What's been you said they like to run the ball. What's been the key to your rushing defense? I guess you're number one in the country against the run.
You know, I think it starts with the players. You know, we're fortunate to have established players on defense. I think we've done a good job of being disruptive up front. And when our second-level players have had opportunities to make tackles, they've done a good job tackling. You know, guys like Kasim, Jamal Morrell, Steve Baharnas, they do an excellent job. And for us to play good defense, our secondary has to be involved. I think anybody who plays good defense, your secondary has to be involved. With a lot of teams, that's your safeties. But with us, it's our safeties and our corners. You can't. There is no cover corner at Rutgers. You have to be able to play in the pass game. You have to be able to play in the run game.
Kyle, you probably never know what motivates the team, but memories of last year's game, do you want your players thinking about that?
Not really. You know, it's again in college football from year to year, it's different. The players are different. In our case, even the coaches are different. I think what motivates our team is the opportunity to be 1-0 this week. If you string together enough of those 1-0s, you got an opportunity to play for a championship. And so every week in the Big East Conference, because we don't have a conference championship game, every week is a Big East championship game. So for us to continue moving towards our goal, our motivation is simple. We want to be 1-0 this week.
Are you expecting Michael Laro to play, and how has he looked over the last week?
I think Michael is coming along. I think guys like Michael Laro and Kenny Kirksey, who's coming back from a foot injury, they're going to have a role. How much of a role this week, I'm not sure. It'll be the first week back for both of them. But I do think as the year plays out, you're going to see both of them play.
With the Cal, it looked like Whitmer's coming on here after a slow start. Is that what you see on the film?
I think I see a lot of what I see in my own quarterback. I think I see a guy who's getting a little bit more comfortable with their system every week. You know, to go from, I believe it was Illinois to a junior college and then to UConn, that's 3 systems in 3 years. That's not easy for anybody. You know, so I think what we're seeing now is a really fine quarterback who's getting more comfortable with the system he's playing in.
Kyle, how has Lorenzo Waters looked the past week during bye week practices and all?
Lorenzo's a good player. You know, I think last week, hopefully every position on our team, not just Lorenzo, but hopefully every position on our team got a little bit better at one skill. You know, Lorenzo's a guy who, between Lorenzo, Wayne Warren, Deron Harmon, you know, we've got 3 safeties we feel at any time we can play and can play winning football for us. And I think they're progressing as we go.
With the Cal, could you talk about UConn's linebackers? It looks like that's the key to their defense, huh?
They're very disruptive players. Coach Brown is their defensive coordinator, and I've coached against him many times, from when he was at UMass and I was at Hofstra, to when he was at Northeastern and I was at Delaware, when he was at Maryland and I was at Rutgers, and now he's at UConn and I'm at Rutgers still. So Coach Brown and I have seen a lot of each other over the years, and any place he's ever coached, they've been very aggressive on defense. They're even though they're not particularly the same as us in scheme, I believe their philosophy is the same. They're very aggressive, they attack, and they want to create TFLs. And I think when you look at their linebacker position, number 33, 4 sacks, 10 TFLs on the year so far. Number 3, 3.5 sacks, 6 TFLs on the season so far. Those linebackers are getting opportunities to make plays in the backfield, and they're doing it.
How important is a guy like Kasim leadership-wise on this team?
I think Kasim is critical, but I don't think it's just one person. We're very fortunate on defense. We have the people in leadership positions at every level of the defense, and I think that's why we've been able to play at a high level. I think that's why we've been able to avoid what people call the letdown, so to speak. I think our defensive players have very high standards and expectations for themselves and for the people around them, and I think there's a lot of peer accountability on our defense, whether it's up front it's Scott Vallone, Khalil Blood, Marvin Booker. 3 seniors on our defense who play a lot of football. On the second level with Steve and with Kasim. And then on the third level with guys like Deron Harmon, Brandon Jones, Logan Ryan, Wayne Warren, people who've played a lot of football around here, Marcus Cooper, over the years. So I think that, we're in a unique position this year because that defense has so many players who have been battle-tested and have had success. There's a lot of peer accountability, which is always a good thing when you have a football team.
Are those the guys that keep this team from realizing that it hasn't accomplished anything yet as good as the start is, that's still...
I think it's them, and I think we have guys on offense who are doing the same thing. Guys like Brandon Coleman, a guy like Gary Nova, who's growing into his leadership role. A guy like R.J. Dill, who has played a lot of football and hasn't been here, but he's played a lot of football, and he's been around good teams, and he's been around some teams maybe that were not as good. But I think he brings a level of maturity to the offense that grows more and more each year. It wasn't as established as it was in the defense in the beginning, but I can see it growing as we go through the season.
Kyle, UConn leads the Big East in sacks. There's a big test for your offensive line.
There's no doubt. And I look no further than Trevorrow Williams, the defensive end. He is the single most productive pass rusher in our conference. He is a guy that if you allow him to, he can ruin the game. You have to account for him on every play.
Kyle, through the years, this defense has thrived on, your defense has thrived on turnovers and generating them. Are you satisfied to this point on what they've done in terms of creating turnovers?
I guess I'm satisfied to this point with what they've done, but I think every game is unique. And if opportunities present themselves this Saturday, I hope that we're able to capitalize on them. I think that when you look at the different things that ultimately win and lose football games, turnovers is always, if it's not at the top of the list, it's always very close to the top of the list. Things like drive start, chunk plays, big plays given up and achieved on offense. Those are statistics that you look at them at the end of the game, you can pretty much tell who won without even looking at the score.
No, you said you don't actively use last year's motivation. Is it a situation where you simply don't bring it up and don't discuss it because you think it's negative thoughts, or is it something you don't want them thinking about? Is it something you specifically say put it out of your brain, or you just not even worry about it?
I don't bring it up and I don't talk about it because it has no bearing on this game. Since that game, we had a bowl season and a bowl game, a winter workout, a spring practice, a summer training, a training camp, and 4 football games, 1 Big East football game. There's different players on both sides of the field this year than there were last year. So to me, that game last year has no bearing on this game this year. If you need any more motivation than playing a Big East championship football game, then you should not be playing at this level of college football. I don't think that'll be the case with our team. I think we are very motivated to try and win a Big East championship game. And the only way we can do that this week is to try to be 1-0.
Kyle, what have you seen from Kyle Federico since the Arkansas game? I know that you said maybe there's some mechanic stuff to work on, just trying to get more consistent.
Yeah, we've worked on just getting him a little bit more in rhythm. He looked a little bit out of rhythm. And then we did something with him last night where we made him go out there, end of game situation, clock winding down, to see if we could put him in a pressure situation and not just go out there and kick a field goal. And he did a nice job. So that's the improvements you see in practice, you hope to see them in games. When they show up in games, you can't always predict that. But I have a lot of faith in Kyle.
Coach, it seems like every week you have a different receiver stepping up in the passing game. Everybody's catching touchdown passes. Last week, Mark Harrison had his biggest game of the year. How important to the offense and to what you're able to do on offense is it to get all these receivers involved?
I think every week is unique. We don't go into the week trying to put the focus on one receiver in particular. You know, the defense has their coverage structure, and within every coverage structure there should be a solution for the quarterback. And if the quarterback is disciplined enough to go through his progression, the ball should go to the correct receiver. And last week, or the last game I should say, that manifested itself in I think 8 different people catching footballs, which is a testament to the receivers doing a good job being in the right place, and a testament to the quarterback being patient enough to go through his progression and find the right player.
What the Cal has Bergen shown you more at fullback than you expected, in that you might be able to play him more there and not have a trickle down effect with moving Paul around? And
Well, we played Paul at the fullback spot prior to this ever happening, so it's not a new position for Paul. You know, Sam has done a nice job with the role that we've given him right now. And where that goes from here, you know, he'll have to earn more and more each week, just like any player, you know, who's kind of moving up in the depth chart.
After Gary's performance against Arkansas, do you got to rein him back in this week and make sure he manages the game and isn't too trigger happy?
I think Gary did manage the game against Arkansas. I think what you saw was what we asked him to do. And what we're hoping to see this week with Gary is for him to do the same thing. Whether that means we throw the ball as much as we did against Arkansas or we run the ball more, you know, that we'll see, you know, in time. But I don't think what you saw against Arkansas was Gary trying to make plays. I think what you saw was him running the offense that we gave him to run, and that's how it ended up showing up in the statistics. So I'm excited with his progress. I think he's done a nice job every week of running the game plan that we've given him, and I don't think this week will be any different.
Jumping off that point, given the success he did have, I know you were saying manage the game. Do you think we might try to stretch the field a little bit more vertically, specifically on the play action, given that he showed he was more of a precise passer?
I don't think what you saw last week, I think what you're describing is him not having success for 3 weeks and then having success last week. That's not the way we feel as coaches. We feel like every week he ran the game plan the way we wanted him to run the game plan. Did he have a throw or two that he'd like to have back? Every quarterback every week has a throw or two they'd probably like to have back. That's just the nature of competitive college football. Play action will always be a part of our game plan. In every game plan, there are going to be a certain number of plays that are always designed to stretch the defense vertically. That won't be anything unique that we do this week.